I, your liberty-loving Latino, have never received an invite to appear on CNN, though CNN Digital did a fair piece on my perspective at one point. A few years back, MSNBS extended an invite to me and rescinded it, and I knew why. They couldn't allow the country to learn of the rise of the liberty-loving Latino. As we have told you, the left wing is dominated, the left-wing press is dominated and pushes this narrative over news. In this case, it might backfire on the Democrats. Here's hoping. Now, let's get to our guests. Joining me now to weigh in on all this and much more is feature writer for Hispanic executive and podcast host Ruben in the Center, Ruben Navarrette, also along with Newsmax contributor and former legal counsel to President Trump, Jenna Ellis. Welcome to you both. Rube, I want to start with you. I'll begin with Democrats. They've had quite a week here. Biden is now a Puerto Rican. Harris thinks prioritizing hurricane aid based on skin color is a good idea. And Pelosi says Florida needs illegal aliens to pick those crops. And you say?
Yeah, you know, I always say that, and I've been covering politics for 33 years now, each party is a blessing to the other. Just when you see Republicans floundering with regard to Latino support, Democrats ride to the rescue with a series of dumb, thick-headed remarks like the ones you mentioned and others you could have mentioned as well. It tells you how clueless the modern Democratic Party is, just how elite it is, how it's ruled by the coasts, and how it's lost touch with people like the folks in my native San Joaquin Valley in Central California or the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas. So here you have a blessing for the Republican Party, and it comes in the form of these really thick-headed comments by by Democrats, where you and I part company, Chris, and we have over the years is I've got a whole other side of the story of really thick-headed moves by Republicans that play into the hands of Democrats. The parties are simpaticos. They help each other out.
Jenna, Kamala Harris is being called out for her support for government discrimination based on the color of skin. Not only are her words repugnant in my view, aren't her policies illegal under the law?
Yeah, well, there have been a lot of independent fact checkers, quote unquote, but also Ron DeSantis's own spokespeople who've pushed back on this and have said that no FEMA money or anything like that is being given just on the basis of equity. But this shows that not only is Kamala Harris either lying or just totally stupid about what the policy is, but it also shows her ideology that the Democrats are driven by this concept of equity rather than equality. And of course, our Constitution is all about equal protection under the law and making sure that we don't discriminate on the basis of skin color, on the basis of sex, on the basis of any other intrinsic characteristics. And everyone should acknowledge and recognize that these types of government resources in the midst of an emergency like that should be given on the basis of need, not what you look like.
Ruben, let's focus on another aspect of this. This could be a large part of why Hispanics are fleeing the Democrat Party in droves. And now we even see CNN is admitting that the Democrat Party is seeing a significant drop in support from Black Americans, and it could cost them the Senate. Now, you've been, as you rightly pointed out, you've been writing and highlighting racism in the Democrat Party for years. You feeling a little vindicated that everything that you've been talking about as far as the Democrats' part in racism in this country, that the rest of the country is now catching up with that knowledge?
The first time I ever used the phrase liberal racism in a column was in 1998. My editors thought I was crazy. They couldn't get their head around it. How could liberals be racist? I was working in Arizona at the time. And I've been covering liberal racism for a long, long time. I've also covered conservatives who likewise give in to racism. Racism isn't a human quality. You have it in both political parties. But you're right. The media, the liberal media, tends to cover it much more extensively, enthusiastically. When it's in the Republican Party, they're blind to it when they see it in the Democratic Party.
Jenna, speaking of CNN here, a former President Trump is filing a lawsuit against that network. He says CNN is using its influence to defame him over fears he's going to run for president in 2024. Give me your legal evaluation on this. Does the president have a case?
Well, everyone knows that he's completely correct and that CNN, of course, has defamed him. They've called him all sorts of ridiculous names that aren't just opinion driven, but are factually and provably false. And so this really gets to the heart of not only the court of public opinion, but also where our justice system is going. I, like many other constitutional advocates, do believe that the Supreme Court needs to revisit New York Times versus Sullivan and, of course, protect the press under the First Amendment, but not allow them to get away with openly, notoriously, and purposefully, intentionally, and with actual malice defaming a person like Donald Trump or any other conservative with provably false accusations and provably false stories just for their own political bias that isn't covered under the First Amendment. And so for this particular case, the president does have a huge barrier to surmount. CNN, of course, will file a motion to dismiss. That's going to be their first challenge, is overcoming that. But I think we all know the bottom line here is that his complaint is absolutely correct, and CNN is wrong in what they're doing. And I don't think that that should be covered under the First Amendment, because we don't protect the ability for reporters to simply lie and make factually false statements.
Right, right. And having a left-wing opinion isn't illegal in this country, but if they lie and defame, again, if you're a public person, that's really, really hard to prove. But we'll see where this goes. Jenna Ellis and Ruben Navarrette, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate the time.